Plaintiff Tabitha Martinez dated the defendant, and she claims in the past 5 years, they've had 30 major fights, and they've broken up at least 20 times. Tabitha says during their last breakup, the defendant destroyed her laptop because he was angry at Tabitha. So she's suing for the laptop and the loan. Defendant Brenton Irving says he and Tabitha are not meant to be together because they often get into heated arguments. Brenton says he has 4 cell phones with him in court today that Tabitha broke in the last week alone. And he insists he never guaranteed when he would repay her for the loan.
Prove your case.
Well, Your Honor, have you ever dated a guy? And
No.
you probably... Not a real question.
Doyle said it for
me. And stayed way too long?
Pardon?
Have you ever been in a relationship and you just stayed a little bit too long? It's kind of what's going on with this guy.
Why so?
I've met him like 5 years ago. And we ran into each other on a street corner one night. He came up to me and
That was
said,
your first problem.
yeah, you're right.
Go ahead.
Walks up to me, says, hey, you're beautiful. Very next day, we are at the beach. He's on the same strip of the beach that I'm on. So I kind of thought it was fate. We started dating. When things are good, they're awesome. When they're bad, they're crazy. He's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
How so? What does
He will switch it up really, really fast. He throws things, he yells, he breaks things. I mean, I have holes in my
Mood
walls.
swings and outbursts.
Yes. Maybe he's bipolar, maybe he needs medicine.
How often?
God, in the past 5 years, we've probably had like 30 major fights. Probably broke up 20 times. I'm not innocent in it all. I didn't really know how to be a girlfriend in the beginning. So anyways, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. He breaks things. It's kind of crazy. The last breakup we had, I was going through his phone, because we do that, and I saw a weird number, so I called
No
it.
wonder y'all fight so much. Go ahead.
It was a girl's name on the voicemail. So I asked him about it. Instead of acting crazy, throwing his phone, breaking it maybe, I just walked up to him and said, look, this is number, who is it? Tell me the story. He flips out, grabs the phone out of my hand, throws it, breaks his own phone. So then he's mad at me about it. So instead of coming over and saying, I'm sorry, I overreacted, he goes out to the club with his boys and gets drunk. I know this because I went to his house the next day to retrieve my things, and I found the late night pizza box that you can only get downtown Wilmington, where the clubs are, and a wristband, which you don't even need to get pizza. So I know he was at the club.
What things did you have you had to pick up from his home?
I had some boots, I had a DVD player.
So what?
Some boots.
Oh, okay.
And shoes.
a DVD.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like something else. Go ahead.
Just a couple of things. I mean, we're usually at each other's house, so there's usually stuff hanging out. So I saw all these things. I wrote him a little note on the pizza box and said, if you want to do that instead of come take care of your business with your girlfriend, then fine, you can go do that forever. So that's why we're here today.
Okay. Sir, you want to give me some background?
Yes, sir. Me and her is very much the same person. Our birthdays ain't but 1 day apart, so we're both Cancer signs. And when they say opposites attract, that's the truth, because we're the same and we don't attract at all. That's very true. It is. And
How long did you all, when did you all begin dating?
4 years ago.
Oh, that's right. And you all had this conflict all 4 years?
First year was good. The next 3 were like that. Yes, sir.
Almost 5 years,
Why do
Your
you
Honor.
think that was?
Because we're the same, pretty much.
What would the arguments start about typically?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. In the beginning, I was jealous. I was a jealous person. If she'd done something I didn't like, I'd let her know. But I don't like that. I'd give her attitude, and I was that way. And she taught me not to be that way. So the next 3 years, she's done it back to me and gave me a little bit of me. So now that I've changed, she's not letting it go, and it's just a no-win situation. I see it's just back and forth, constant, mayhem. We can't stay stable. We haven't been in a relationship. We've been seeing each other, but nothing's stable. People ask, we're like, yeah, we're just hanging out. We like to be around each other. We're more or less friends. I guess she's not opposite of me, so I can't compat with her, and she can't compat with me. We both want to be the man in the relationship. basically.
What does a man do in a relationship?
Well, basically, you got to have a humble person in this relationship to make it work. And I'm not a humble person, and neither
I
is
just
she.
like to hear what men mean by I want to be the man in the relationship.
Well,
what
not
does
like,
that mean?
I don't want to be the controller, not at all, because I do give her credit. She has taught me a lot of that.
The leader?
Right. Well, there's a difference between a controller and a leader.
Right, I agree.
You know.
And do you believe you've earned that type of leadership?
To a certain degree.
Okay.
I do. I think I've earned it.
I mean,
I've
met
changed
your
a lot.
responsibilities to your woman?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, because if she has a responsibility to you, and that is to follow your lead, you would have to have a responsibility to her.
Right.
And part of that would be to earn your leadership.
Right.
You know, men say that all the time. I'm the man of the house. I lead this. We have to earn that.
Right.
You're not the man of the house or the leader. Because the organs you were born with, that doesn't determine whether you're a leader or not.
That's no doubt.
Go ahead.
All right. I feel like now that I'm trying to do that, she's not allowing me.
Okay.
You know, she's using my past against me, and who wants to live on the past?
Right.
You know, nobody wants to live on that. It's
Do you
hard
do
to
that?
move forward.
No.
You bring it up all the time?
No, I'm
How
ready to let
often?
it go. I don't bring it up. He's just,
I don't believe that. We're going to get to the loan and the laptop, but I don't believe, out of all the years you all have been going at it, that you don't from time to time say, yeah, remember when that girl called your phone that night and I saw her number on there? That's why I know you're cheating again.
Your Honor, he does that.
You do too.
But
I
she's
don't.
never caught me cheating, ever. And
All right. What else you
Vice
want to tell
versa.
me about before we get to the loan and the laptop?
No, just we have a history of breaking each other's personal property. You know, if I wanted to claim every claim, you know, on the stuff that was broken, and I want my restitution for it, I'd probably be on your show every week. So,
Is that why you brought 4 phones?
yes, sir. And this is what I grabbed in my room before I went to the airport. I mean, if I dug, I could have had a whole stack up here.
Your
So
Honor.
those are just the phones she has broken in the last week or so.
Last week or so.
That's not true.
Yes, sir.
That's not true. If you let me look at those phones, I could probably tell you that most of them are not mine. And if they were his, they're in the river or they're completely destroyed.
So you
could not.
So you wouldn't leave him any evidence.
You would
They're
have no
going to
evidence.
the river.
Exactly.
What are you suing him about? Loan and laptop. How did
I
this
let
come
him borrow $500, which I've
When?
done in the past
When?
several times.
When?
August of this year.
All right.
I've let him borrow money several times in the past 5 years. He's always paid me back. Recently, he's been irresponsible with paying bills, and he has this new hobby, and he likes to spend all his money.
What's the new hobby?
Race car driving.
Okay.
So instead of paying me back, he will buy parts for his race car or go spend money to even enter a race. And I'm there with him at the racetrack, watching him spend all this money. Thinking,
Watching him spend your money.
yes. Thinking, when are you going to pay me back?
Now that's the time you're supposed to start some mess.
Well, that's
You
when I
all like
started
to argue.
saving the
That's the
evidence.
time to argue. Go ahead.
Right. Well, I try not to because I'm actually trying to be sweet when he's at the racetrack and
All
not
right.
bring it up, so it doesn't mess up his game.
When did he agree to repay you? When were you to be repaid?
He was to repay me in 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yes.
All right. When you've asked for your money, what does he tell you?
I don't have it right now.
All right. And the laptop you're suing him about, what is that?
He broke my laptop
When?
in probably a month or two ago.
What occurred?
We got in an argument about something silly, as usual. I believe he threw my phone, so I picked up his and threw it as well. It happened to break because I threw it more like a man, I guess. And then he decides to pick up my laptop because he's upset that I broke his phone. And as I'm trying to pull it away from him, he's pulling it and pulling it. He ends up punching the top of it. I don't even know why. I guess because he can't control his
And
anger.
it's totally useless?
Yes.
You
totally
have an
useless.
estimate?
I do.
Sir,
I
let
have
me hear from you.
photos and
All right.
estimates.
Let me see the
and the
photo.
actual receipt of
The actual
laptop.
receipt. Good.
Yes.
All righty. Yeah, it's broken, that's for sure. All right, sir, what do you want to tell me about the loan and the laptop?
Okay, she did lend me the money. There was never agreement to pay back in 2 weeks. I told her I could more than likely pay her back in 2 weeks.
That's
And
not
she
true.
said She said, well, that's fine. You know, I know you. I've let you borrow money before. Whenever you get it, I know you'll pay me. The laptop deal, that was just a freak accident deal. She was yanking it, and somehow I did hit it, and it just shattered the screen somehow. So I take responsibility for it. You know,
but
I broke
you're
the laptop.
saying you want to offset it against those phones.
I mean, I could, like I said, there's plenty of incidents I could countersue. You know, my
Right.
car, she's damaged. She's kicked my car in.
So you didn't have a big enough box to bring your phones
I could have drove
in
it right through the front.
Oh,
Let y'all
I would have
seen
a
it.
bigger box of phones, Your Honor.
that he's broken.
Yes.
Like AT&T must love these two.
Right.
They get
They
rich
do.
off of us. They do.
Is anyone going to anger management or
No, sir.
being evaluated for your anger and outbursts?
He has gone to anger management.
Violence?
It
He
didn't
has?
work.
Okay.
It worked for maybe 3 months.
And you need to go somewhere too. You've been throwing phones yourself.
Your Honor, I'm not like that anymore.
You're going to be in jail and he's going to be fine.
I agree that I was not innocent in all of this, but I'm definitely not like that anymore.
You all need to, if you can't control your anger, you need to go and get some help. Shouldn't go beyond a verbal argument, because when you start throwing things, the next thing you're throwing at each other. When you're throwing at each other, you risk serious injury. The majority of murders occur between people who know each other.
That's right.
All right? Keep that in mind. $1,000 in the meantime is your judgment. He has no defense. His only defense to not paying you is that he told you more than likely you would receive your money in 2 weeks. So I'm going to go with the likelihood that he should have paid you, because
Thank
the
you.
likelihood was more
Than likely.
than not. 1,000 for the play. Have
Thank
a
you,
good
Your
day.
Honor.
Probably try to stay clear of each other from here on.
Definitely learn from my mistakes and, not let that happen the next time.
I mean, I still love her. You know, I appreciate what we've been through, and it's a lesson learned, and maybe I'll find that opposite person.